She had 6 symptoms. 6. Fatigue that wouldn't quit. Weight that wouldn't budge no matter what she tried. Waking up wide awake at 3 a.m. every single night. Sugar cravings that felt impossible to control. Brain fog so thick she couldn't finish a sentence. And skin tags that seemed to appear out of nowhere. 6 different doctor's visits. 6 different explanations. Or worse, no explanation at all. But here's what nobody told her. All 6 of her symptoms were connected. All 6 were only one thing, and by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what that one thing is and whether it's happening to you too. Before I tell you what that one thing is, if you've even got 2 of these symptoms, I want you to take my free Insulin Resistance Risk Assessment. It's linked in the description below. It takes about a minute, and it could explain more than your last 3 doctor visits combined. I'm Dr. Kim, the insulin resistance doctor, and in functional medicine, we solve medical mysteries. That's really what this channel is all about. We're medical detectives. We look for the clue that conventional labs miss. And this patient's case was a perfect example because on paper, her labs look normal. Has anyone ever told you your labs look normal but you still feel terrible? My channel is all about understanding your lab results. Her fasting glucose was fine. Her cholesterol was fine. Nothing was flagged and nothing was red. If you just looked at the numbers, you'd say she was healthy. But she didn't feel healthy at all. She felt like her body was falling apart in 6 different directions, and nobody had ever checked the one number that would have solved the whole mystery. It was her fasting insulin. Now, the missing clue and why her fasting glucose isn't enough, and here's what most people don't know, and it's the whole reason this mystery went unsolved for years. Fasting glucose is the test almost everyone gets, but glucose is often the last number to get flagged. Here's why. When your blood cells start resisting insulin's signal, your pancreas doesn't just give up. It fights back. It pumps out more and more insulin to force glucose into the blood cells and keeps blood sugar looking normal. That compensation can go on for years, sometimes a decade or more. So a normal fasting glucose doesn't mean insulin resistance isn't happening behind the scenes. It often just means your pancreas is working overtime to hide what's going on. Fasting insulin is a lab number that shows the strain before glucose ever budges. It's the early warning system, the clue that's visible years before the crisis is. That's why, in this case, her glucose looked perfect, and insulin was already quietly climbing behind the scenes. Fasting insulin wasn't just another lab value. It was the missing clue that finally solved the case. So let's walk through her 6 clues, one at a time, and as we go, I want you to notice how many of them trace back to that same rising insulin long before glucose ever shows it. The first clue was fatigue. Not the kind you sleep off on Saturday, the kind that's still there when you wake up, still there at lunchtime, and somehow worse by 3 p.m. Here's the detective work. Fatigue like this is often your cells shouting for help. When insulin resistance sets in, your cells stop responding properly to insulin signal to let glucose in for energy. So even though there's plenty of sugar in the bloodstream, it can't get into the cells where it's needed for energy. Your body is sitting on a full tank of gas with a clogged fuel line. That's why she was exhausted despite eating enough. Her energy was there, it just couldn't get where it needed to go. And her fasting glucose test never caught it because her pancreas was still compensating hard enough to keep her glucose looking normal. Only her fasting insulin blood test would have shown that strain. That's clue number 1. Clue number 2 is stubborn weight, especially around the midsection, that didn't respond to diet or exercise the way it used to. When I was younger, all I had to do was eat less and exercise more. Can you relate? And this is one of the most misunderstood clues in the entire mystery. As we get older, weight gain isn't just about eating too much or exercising too little. Insulin is your body's fat storage hormone. And when insulin levels stay elevated over time, your body is constantly being told to store fat instead of burn it, especially around your waist and abdominal organs. That's why so many people develop stubborn belly fat even when they're trying to eat better. So, she was doing everything right, she thought, cutting calories, exercising, and her body was still holding on to stored fat around the middle. Not because she wasn't trying, but because her hormones were working against her, not with her. And here's the thing. You can have rising insulin and stubborn weight because of it for years before a fasting glucose ever flags you have a problem. Insulin goes up first, and excess weight often is the second clue to show up. Clue number 3 was strange to her. She was waking up wide awake at 3 a.m. almost every night, her heart sometimes racing a little, unable to fall back to sleep for about an hour or more. And this is a classic clue most people never connect to blood sugar at all. Here's the mechanism. Overnight, if blood sugar drops too low, often because of how insulin has been behaving all day, her body releases cortisol and adrenaline to bring glucose back up. That stress hormone surge is what's actually waking her up. It's not anxiety, and it's not just getting older. It's her body sounding an internal alarm. Once you look for it, this clue becomes one of the clearest signs of blood sugar dysregulation there is. And again, it's driven by insulin's behavior during the day and while you're sleeping at night. It's not glucose. You won't find this clue on a standard glucose blood panel. If any of this is sounding familiar, if you're nodding along right now and saying, yeah, that's me, go ahead and pause this video and take that risk assessment. I'll wait. Knowing your number is the first step to changing your future. Clue number 4 is the relentless sugar cravings that felt less like a preference and more like a demand her body wouldn't let up on. This one makes sense once you understand clue number 1. If glucose can't get into the cells efficiently, the brain, which runs almost entirely on glucose, starts sending urgent signals for more fuel. That's not weak willpower, it's physiology. That's a brain that's functionally running low, even while blood sugar numbers look fine on paper. The craving is a symptom, not a character flaw. And once again, it's a symptom that traces straight back to insulin, not glucose. Clue number 5, brain fog so thick she'd lose her train of thought mid-sentence. And I know how that feels. Do you? She struggles to focus at work and describes her thinking as underwater. Same root cause, different organ. The brain needs a steady, reliable supply of glucose to function sharply. When brain cells become resistant to insulin signal, the supply to the brain becomes unreliable. Sometimes there's plenty of sugar in the blood, but it's not making it to the brain cells efficiently. The result is exactly what she described: foggy, slow, unfocused thinking, even though nothing was wrong on a standard exam. Because a standard exam checks fasting glucose, not the insulin level working overtime behind the scenes to keep that glucose stable. And clue number 6, small skin tags that have started appearing on her neck and under her arms over the past couple years, seemingly out of nowhere. And this is often the clue people dismiss as cosmetic, but it's actually one of the most telling skin tags, along with darkened patches of skin in the body folds, are associated with chronically elevated insulin levels acting on skin cells. Dermatologists see this all the time, but it rarely gets connected back to metabolic health unless someone is specifically looking for that link. And that link is insulin, often elevated for years before glucose or a routine physical would ever pick it up. 6 symptoms, 6 seemingly unrelated complaints, 6 visits to different specialists, each looking at their own piece of the puzzle. But once you step back and look at all the 6 clues together, the mystery solves itself. This was insulin resistance, showing up in 6 different disguises, not 6 separate problems. One root cause wearing 6 different masks, and the number that finally exposed it wasn't fasting glucose. Every one of those 6 clues had already shown up while her glucose was still normal. It was fasting insulin. That's the work we do in functional medicine. We don't stop at your labs are normal. We keep asking why you don't feel normal until the mystery is solved. So, if you've been collecting your own list of unrelated symptoms, the fatigue, the stubborn weight gain, the 3 a.m. wake-ups, the cravings, the brain fog, the skin changes, I want you to stop chasing 6 different explanations. Take the Insulin Resistance Risk Assessment link below. It takes 1 minute. Then email me your results and let us solve your medical mystery, me and you together. If you'd like more depth, personalized help, schedule a coaching call. If this video has helped you, please like and subscribe and share with someone you care about. I'd also love for you to leave a comment and tell me if any of these symptoms sound familiar or what topic you'd like me to cover in the next video. Know your numbers, change your future. I'm Dr. Kim, the Insulin Resistance Doctor, and I'm here to help you catch metabolic dysfunction before it becomes a diagnosis. I'll see you in the next video.